When I think of everything.
Y'all having a good time over here? Say yeah. Having a good time over here? Say yeah. Somebody say keep it cool tonight. Give it up for Jamaica.
For Marcus Smith. That's right, you can check him out. The Real Talk Show with Marcus Smith. And he is a promoter as well. And so if you're interested in having him come to your city to do promotions, you can actually contact him, as well as Ed Stevens Jr. for Stevens Promotions. Come on, let's give God some praise. Amen. Because truly, doesn't matter, you can throw promotions behind anything. We all know that promotion comes. Hello, somebody. Promotion comes from God. We're thanking you for being our special guest for iShoutForJoy.com. We're having our corner where we're actually getting up close and personal with someone who is doing what we're talking about. We've been talking about getting in touch with nations, spreading joy to the nations. We're actually talking with Rev Gwendolyn Young, and she is the founder of Gwendolyn Young Ministries, and she has a wonderful website. She's done several been on several mission trips, and so we're going to actually get up close and personal on how we can be a part of those things and what we can do here in our own local communities. She's also one of the assistant pastors at Richmond Christian Center locally in Richmond, Virginia, where the pastor is Pastor Steve Parson. Come on, let's receive her at this time. Welcome. We will be sharing this mic, but I'd like you to a little bit more of a detailed description about some of the mission ministries that you do.
First of all, thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight. Gwendolyn Young Ministries is a ministry that is established here locally, and we are established for the express purpose of teaching, preaching, and healing. That is to go into all the earth and to preach the gospel. And we find that it's something that oftentimes we look to the other person to do, yet it's what God has required of us. And so it is, I was probably like many of you, I was the most reluctant of people to go. I'd already told the Lord, use me anywhere you want to in the United States. I did not want to go anywhere else. That I don't have that testimony that all my life I wanted to go across the earth. I didn't. As a matter of fact, when I've had some name brand people, if you will, ask me to go, and I've said no. You know, name brand. You know, some of us like generic, and some of us like name brand. But at any rate, what I determined to do was, well, actually, in 2004, a woman of God approached me, and she said, "Gwendolyn, would you go with me to Ghana?" Applied to her Ghanaian friends. And I said no. I said no the first time. I said no the second time. And I said no the third time. But the third time I said, but I'll pray about it. I tell you, men and women of God, before I got the PR of pray out, the Spirit of the Lord has spoken to me. And he said, why would you pray about something that I've already told you? And so with that, we launched out on our very first mission trip in 2005. We went to Ghana and to Peru. And when I stepped off the plane in Ghana, and I'm so glad to have Ghanaian friends with us tonight. When I stepped off the plane in Ghana, the Spirit of the Lord said to me, there's a deposit on the inside of you that will be released on this continent. And I mean, if you can just imagine, I'm bawling, you know, the tears are just rolling, because certainly this was not anything that I had expected. I only expected to go to help this woman of God, and I will have fulfilled what God said one time. And then he tells me there's a deposit that has to be poured out on this continent. And so it was that we've now gone to, well, we've been in Ghana every year except this year, but I've been in Africa every year, ever since that first time. And when we go to teach the gospel. We go also to meet personal needs. We do ministry of the word. We do ministry in healing. Usually we take a doctor on our team, and we have healing teams where we go into villages and to areas where people don't have access to health care in the manner that we do, and we provide medical attention for them right there on the spot. In addition, we have done leadership training seminars. We do a lot of leadership training when we go into these nations. The last 2 years I've been in Liberia. And the reason for going to Liberia was really quite interesting. I was a school principal, a Christian school principal here in Richmond, and I was sitting at my desk, minding my own business. And the Lord says, turn on the television. Well, I'm at work, but I do have a television. So he says, turn on the television. So I turn on the television and I said, okay, God, what? What am I turning on for? And I just began to flip the channels, and when I hit the channel that Oprah is on, he told me to stop. Well, I don't watch Oprah when I'm at home. So why am I watching Oprah? But the Lord is talking to me. And so I stopped there, and there on the Oprah network or Oprah show is Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who was the first female president of an African nation, and she's the president of Liberia. Liberia is recovering from having been in 14 years of civil war. And as Oprah is interviewing Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, she asked her, what are some of the things that we can help you with? Madam President said, well, we need help with education. We need to educate our children. And out of my mouth came, well, God, I can do that. I can help with that. Wow. And through a series of things, we were able to make connections, and we were able to go to Liberia. Last year, went with a good friend and co-minister. Her name is Reverend Laverne Haynes Stevens, and to meet with the head of the Department of Education for the nation, the Minister of Education. And one of the things that they asked us to do, because they were beginning to get assistance from some other nations for public education, but no assistance at all for Christian education. And that's what I do. So they asked if we would focus our attention on Christian aid. And so what we did was we did a survey, rather a needs assessment for, I think it was about 15 different schools. And we did include some public schools in that, in the Monrovia area. And with that, we were able to then determine the degree of the need, which was mammoth. Because if you can imagine, during Civil War, people who were the professionals pretty much and had any type of ability to do so led the nation. And so you were left with a nation of men and women and children who in many instances did not have the skills, or had the skills but everything was destroyed. When I'm sharing it with people here in the United States, I liken it to something that you can all relate to. If you recall the riots that have taken place in our cities here in the United States. And when there's rioting in a city, white folk don't come from the suburbs to tear up our neighborhoods. Who tears up our neighborhoods? Okay.